Let's bring in right now defense attorney Misty Marris. Is there any undoing this at this point, or is does the family have an influence on what happens here?
So in Idaho, there are victims' rights, and there's a Bill of Rights that the government has to take into consideration. So the family has the right to know that a plea deal is being explored, and they also have the right to speak. Yes, and they have the right to speak. But ultimately, it's important to remember the prosecutors don't work for the family. They don't represent them. They represent the state. And so there's prosecutorial discretion. Ultimately, it's up for the prosecutors to put this in front of the judge, and the judge is the one that decides whether or not the plea deal moves forward. So the families would have the opportunity to make their position known, but if everybody agrees to this, given the death penalty and all of the other factors, it's likely the judge will sign off.
And so it would be life in prison. Is there any other possibility that he could be sentenced to?
So as of now, it's life in prison without the possibility of parole. And keep in mind, if you enter into a plea deal, that means you waive your right to an appeal of either the plea or the sentence. You're locked in. There's no do-overs here. So it would guarantee that he will spend the rest of his life behind bars.
And would this have been up to a jury to decide the sentencing if he would have gotten the death penalty, or would that go simply on the shoulders of a judge?
So with the death penalty, the jury also has to be unanimous on the death penalty.
So they might not have gotten it.
Exactly. So it's kind of the known versus the unknown, right, from the prosecutor's perspective. Also, remember, you have surviving roommate Dylan Mortensen. She would have to take the stand. Perhaps that was part of the consideration. But something I'm going to listen for at this hearing tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of, it's called a colloquy, a lot of questions about, do you understand this plea deal? Do you understand the terms? Do you understand the sentence, the rights you're giving up? But in many jurisdictions, there's also the factual basis for the plea. So we may learn a little bit more from Brian Kohberger's mouth tomorrow during the course of that hearing. And I think part of what the family wants is answers. So much of this has been behind closed doors and sealed, the family finding out about critical elements of the case, along with us, those who have been following in the public. So maybe there'll be at least some solace on that front.
Let's pivot and talk about the Sean Diddy Combs trial. We are getting word that a note was delivered. On the heels of yesterday, there were multiple notes delivered from the jurors as they're in deliberations right now. Talk about your sense of what all these notes mean. Did someone not do their job properly?
Well, so the first note was a shock to all of us, came about 70 minutes into deliberations, and it was a concern raised about a specific juror, Juror 25, not being able to follow the judge's instructions. So the judge actually said, make sure you look at the jury instructions. You're obligated to follow them and deliberate. By the way, jurors, don't put too many specifics in these notes moving forward because those deliberations are secret. The second note, which to me was a bit telling, was about the drug distribution predicate crime. So that's a predicate to RICO. And I'm looking at the verdict sheet. I brought it out here with me. It's the last predicate crime, drug distribution, on this list. So I'm wondering, that was end of day. Was the jury working their way through that RICO? So that, to me, I would have a little anxiety as the defense, because there's a threshold issue. Was there a criminal enterprise before you get into the predicates? That being said, these jury notes, we like to try and read what they mean. They could just be questions. It could just be one juror who wants clarification.
Absolutely. But it's good to look at, actually, it's good for them to ask questions as they go along.
Absolutely. This is a complicated case.
Oh, for sure. Okay, Misty Marris, thank you so much for weighing in on that.
Thank you.